Neveah glanced up at the dragon shifter, who stood some distance away, holding a young pup who did not look to be more than 5 by the scruff of his neck. Neveah's brows furrowed in anger as she noticed the claws of the dragon shifter tightening dangerously on the tender neck of the bawling child. "Whatever it is you want from Eclipse Fang, you can sort it out with Alpha King Lothair. The pup is innocent. Let him go," Neveah reasoned, as she took a cautious step forward towards the dragon shifter. "You want him? Come take him," the dragon shifter drawled in his strange way of speaking. The governess's scream of terror echoed through the quiet forest as the dragon shifter leaped into the air and in a flurry of light and ancient magic. The dashingly handsome young dragon shifter was replaced by a massive, monstrous black dragon which flew above them. The governess gasped in horror, and Neveah watched her go limp, perhaps losing consciousness due to blood loss, or the sheer horror she felt watching her son grasped in the claws of such a great beast. Neveah stared up in terror at the monstrous creature. It was almost the size of a small mountain, and although its wings were only halfway spread, the span was wide enough to knock trees off their very roots. Its scales were pitch black, but glowed in the moonlight like black onyx, and its eyes were a deep yellow, the shade of fiery embers. Its head was adorned with 2 massive horns, curved upwards to the sky, and there were a number of large, sharp spikes protruding down the upper length of its neck. Its nose poured out steam in the place of breath, and there were cracks and linings on the length of its body that glowed red, and Neveah could not decide if that truly was pure lava. Before Neveah's gaze was a great and indomitable beast of fire that seemed to have crawled out from the very pits of hell. And when those glowing eyes settled on her, Neveah felt herself freeze up as terror unlike any she had ever felt before gripped her. Neveah was back to reality when she watched the black dragon flap its massive wings and take off halfway to the sky. She watched it with apprehension, her eyes widening when the dragon stopped mid-flight and loosened its tight claws, dropping the pup down. The pup tumbled down from the sky. Somewhere along the way, he must have fallen unconscious. Neveah measured the distance. The pup was yet to experience his first shift. No matter how she looked at it, it was clear to Neveah that this pup would never survive the fall. "To hell!" Neveah growled out as she felt her wolf rise to the surface. An earth-quaking growl was emitted from Neveah's lips as a wave of pain washed over her, her shift ripping through her. Her clothing tore away from her body as her bones shifted and reformed to give way for Neveah's true form. It took only a short moment, but to Neveah, it felt like an agonizing lifetime. In all Neveah's life, since the moment she first shifted, this was the 3rd time she would be taking her wolf form, and so she was yet to get used to it. Neveah raced forwards on her paws, leaping up into the air without a care for her own safety. She caught the pup by his clothing and landed to the ground with a quiet thud. Neveah heaved a sigh of relief as she placed the pup down and passed a brief glance to her unconscious governess, before she turned back to face the monstrous creature that stared down at her with its beady red eyes. "I told you to let the pup go," Neveah thought to herself furiously, as a ferocious growl emanated from her. Neveah dashed forwards, leaping up to the nearest tree. She lunged at the monstrous creature, her claws outstretched and jaws wide open. Although her wolf form was huge, standing at a towering 12-foot height and a lithe, muscular structure, Neveah still fell short when compared to the massive black dragon. Neveah caught onto the massive left wing of the dragon and dug her claws into it, pulling with all her strength. The black dragon released a fierce roar as a torrent of flames spurted out all over the forest before it took off into the sky, taking Neveah along with it. The tail of the black dragon swung at Neveah, and Neveah whimpered as it slammed into her side, the spikes raking across her flank, but still, she did not let go. Neveah growled fiercely as she held on to the wing of the dragon, tightening her grip as she climbed up to its back. Land, you... Neveah thought in her mind as she tried to ignore just how high above the ground she was. Neveah growled fiercely as she relied on the weight of her muscular build to pull the dragon down to the ground. Neveah and the dragon wrestled in the sky. The dragon clearly had the upper hand, but Neveah was not having it. Ferocious growls erupted from her lips as she tightened her grip on the dragon's wing. Neveah was so focused on the battle that she did not take notice of the fact that the Eclipse warriors, led by her father, had arrived and presently watched the fierce battle with awe. Neveah also did not take note of the new group of warriors who arrived, or the muscular young man who leaped up into the sky and shifted into a massive golden dragon, flying straight for the black dragon. Neveah only took notice of the new presence when the bulk of the golden dragon slammed into the black dragon, causing Neveah to lose her balance and tumble down from the sky. Neveah felt her heart drop to her stomach as she prepared herself for the crushing impact of such a great landing. That was, if she even survived it at all. However, to Neveah's horror and surprise, the black dragon righted himself after the clash with the golden dragon and swooped down after her. The golden dragon followed right behind, and Neveah watched in horror as two massive, terrifying creatures dove down for her, whilst her body tumbled down to the ground. The black dragon arrived first, swiping a claw at Neveah. Neveah's eyes snapped shut as she braced for the impact of the sharp claws. I should have just gone back to my room. Between a fall and being torn apart by a dragon, it seems I am sure to die tonight, Neveah thought to herself. Neveah felt a scaly structure rub against her fur, and her eyes snapped open to realize with astonishment that she had been caught within the claws of the black dragon before she could hit the ground. The black dragon placed Neveah down gently, its glowing eyes staring down at her for a moment before it swerved. With a loud crash, a row of trees were knocked down as the black dragon changed direction to escape the golden dragon, and then took off into the sky. Just as Neveah was about to breathe a sigh of relief, believing the golden dragon would chase after the black dragon, the earth shook violently as the golden dragon landed to the ground, its beady eyes a deep shade of violet fixed on her. You wait for me. Neveah heard these words in her mind, but she was not even sure who had said them as the golden dragon once again took off into the sky. Neveah lay there, staring out in bafflement. Black spots had begun dancing around her vision, and an excruciating pain pulsed from the injury on her side, where the black dragon's spiked tail had slammed into her. Neveah heard the sound of paws approach in. Neveah picked up her father's scent and knew the paws belonged to the Eclipse warriors' wolves. I can't let them see me, Neveah thought, as she staggered up to her paws in panic. She took off into the forest, running as fast as her paws could carry her.
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.